A gazelle stands in the tall grass of the Serengeti, every muscle fiber locked in a state of absolute physiological readiness. The air carries the faint chemical signature of an apex predator, triggering an instantaneous spike of adrenaline that dilates her pupils and redirects oxygenated blood flow from her digestive tract straight to her skeletal muscles. Within 90 seconds, the cheetah charges, the chase unfolds across the dusty plain, and the gazelle escapes into the thick brush, her respiratory rate returning to a perfect baseline within 10 minutes. She does not replay the trauma in her mind. She does not wonder if the cheetah will return next Tuesday at 3 in the afternoon to finish the job. She forgets. She does not carry the weight of yesterday into the light of today. She eats. Now look at the human creature sitting in a climate-controlled room, surrounded by material abundance, completely insulated from the raw brutality of the natural food chain. Your heart rate is elevated, your palms are clammy, and a slow, corrosive drip of cortisol is currently bathing your prefrontal cortex, corroding your peace of mind from the inside out. There is no predator lurking in the corner of the room, no immediate physical threat to your survival, and no scarcity of resources anywhere in your immediate vicinity. You are merely thinking about a performance review that might happen next quarter, or an awkward phrase you uttered to a passing stranger 7 years ago. Your evolutionary machinery is misfiring. You are suffering. This is the profound, terrifying anomaly of human consciousness that separates us from every other living being on this planet. While every other biological organism on Earth is anchored to the absolute, concrete reality of the passing second, we possess the unique, agonizing capability for mental time travel. We can simulate infinite futures, dissect dead pasts, and exist everywhere except where our physical bodies actually reside at any given moment. Society labels this supreme intelligence. The research suggests otherwise. It might actually be the most sophisticated neurological trap ever designed by natural selection. Consider the profound irony that our species spent millions of years evolving a massive brain capable of predicting famine, drought, and predation, only to turn that predictive power inward, creating an artificial landscape of permanent psychological dread. We praise our brilliant ability to plan for the next decade, yet this very capacity renders us entirely incapable of experiencing the life we are actually living right now. It raises a deeply unsettling question that challenges the very foundation of human superiority and our assumed structural dominance over the natural world. If our advanced intellect keeps us in a perpetual state of chemical panic while a stray dog sleeps soundly on the bare concrete, who is truly the higher organism? Think about that. Consider whether you would willingly trade 20% of your analytical intelligence for a mind that never worries about tomorrow. Many would choose peace. To understand how we became trapped in this psychological paradox, we must look at how the animal kingdom processes the flow of existence. For decades, traditional zoopsychology assumed that animals were mere biological automatons, drifting blindly through time without any internal record of their lives. Something else is going on. When a scrub jay buries a waxworm in the dirt, it does not just remember the geographic location. It remembers exactly how much time has passed, knowing the worm will rot after 4 days, while a hidden seed will remain viable for months. This is episodic-like memory, a highly advanced tool for localized threat assessment and resource management. It works perfectly. Yet, there is a fundamental barrier that separates the scrub jay, the family dog, and the apex predator from the human mind experiencing this reality. Animals recall the past only when an environmental cue demands it, using those memories as a functional immediate map to navigate the immediate horizon. A canine does not experience an existential crisis while staring out the rain-streaked window, nor does a feline suffer from retrospective shame over a missed hunting opportunity last summer. Their memory is a tool for action, not a theater for self-torture. Their horizon is tight, it is clean. Humans, conversely, have dismantled this operational boundary entirely, tearing down the protective walls of the immediate present. The development of our massive prefrontal cortex granted us the ability to detach our awareness from our sensory organs and construct elaborate internal simulations of reality. We became a species of prophets, constantly running mathematical projections of what could go wrong, who might betray us, and how we might eventually cease to exist. This capability allowed us to build massive cities, store grain for winters, and cure deadly diseases, but it came with a staggering biological price tag. We are bleeding internally. Our crisis response stalls because we are trying to fight threats that do not yet exist in physical space. When you anticipate a negative outcome, your brain does not distinguish between a simulated catastrophe and a real physical threat. The neurological pathways activated by the thought of bankruptcy or public humiliation are identical to those triggered when a wolf pack surrounds your ancestors in the Paleolithic wild. The body floods with adrenaline, blood pressure skyrockets, and your immune system suppresses its vital functions to conserve energy for a physical battle that never arrives. You are burning your own biological house down to keep warm in a winter that exists only in your imagination. It is madness, absolute physiological waste. This constant friction between our ancient biology and our modern mental architecture creates an unsustainable state of psychological overstimulation, where our primary coping mechanisms begin to fracture. We try to self-medicate, we seek constant distraction, and we look for ways to dull the very foresight that makes us human. If you want to keep exploring the hidden biology of our world and decode the deep paradoxes of human consciousness, subscribe, because we are just scratching the surface of how our evolutionary history shapes our daily suffering. Understanding the mechanism is always the first step toward breaking the cycle. Join the journey. But here is the part almost nobody quotes when discussing the evolution of time perception. We often romanticize the animal kingdom, viewing their intense focus on the present as a state of Zen-like enlightenment that we should desperately emulate through mindfulness apps and meditation retreats. We look at a sleeping cat and long for that absolute freedom from anxiety, envying its effortless grace. This quietly rewrites the whole narrative. The present moment, when viewed through the cold lens of evolutionary biology, is not a peaceful sanctuary. It is a prison. An animal living strictly in the present cannot afford the luxury of existential dread because it is too busy avoiding immediate mortality. A bird that relaxes its threat assessment for even a fraction of a second becomes a meal. A wolf that fails to secure calories within a narrow window faces immediate starvation. Peace we project onto animals is a human illusion, an idealized fantasy born from our own exhaustion and modern alienation. They are not meditating. They are surviving under the crushing weight of a relentless, immediate reality where a single mistake results in total biological elimination. We, on the other hand, have used our tormenting foresight to buy ourselves an unprecedented level of physical safety. By worrying about the future, our ancestors built shelters, invented agriculture, and structured complex societies that insulate us from the raw, immediate terrors of nature. Your ability to feel anxiety about a text message, a bank account balance, or a career trajectory is the direct consequence of living in a world where you do not have to worry about being eaten alive by an apex predator tonight. Anxiety is a luxury. It is the psychological tax we pay for our safety. This creates an exquisite evolutionary paradox that defines the modern human experience. The very neurological machinery that protects us from physical extinction is what drives us to psychological exhaustion. We have successfully escaped the physical prison of the present, only to lock ourselves inside the mental fortress of an unpredictable, terrifying future. We are trapped in a temporal limbo, forever mourning what is past and trembling at what is to come, while the actual, tangible moments of our lives slip through our fingers like fine sand. We are ghosts. Think about the internal dialogue that dominates your waking hours, an endless loop of hypothetical negotiations, imaginary arguments, and worst-case scenario planning that drains your vitality before you even step foot outside your door. Let us look closely at a typical internal loop. What if I fail? What if they find out? What if everything falls apart? These sentences run on a continuous loop, consuming vast amounts of glucose and oxygen, leaving you depleted. Your mind is fighting ghost wars, winning nothing and losing everything. The battle is fake. The tragedy of the human condition is that we cannot simply turn this mechanism off. You cannot easily sever the connection between your prefrontal cortex and your emotional center, because that connection is what keeps you alive, ambitious, and capable of love. To care about someone means to project their well-being into the future. To achieve a goal means to sacrifice the comfort of the present for a reward down the line. We are structurally incapable of living entirely in the now, and any philosophy that tells you otherwise is selling an evolutionary impossibility. It is a lie. So where does this leave the viewer, caught between the brutal reality of the animal present and the exhausting maze of the human future? It requires a radical shift in how we view our internal discomfort. Your anxiety is not a sign that you are broken, or that you are failing at life, or that your psychology is fundamentally flawed. It is simply the system working exactly as it was designed to work over millions of years of hominid evolution. The machine works. It is the vivid, painful proof that you are an organism capable of mental time travel, holding the power of prophecy in a brain designed for basic survival. When you feel the cortisol rising and your chest tightening at 3 in the morning, remember that you are experiencing the crown jewel of evolutionary adaptation, running its diagnostic scripts in an environment it was never meant to inhabit. You are a biological time traveler, momentarily lost in the coordinates of your own creation. The animal next to you sleeps peacefully, untroubled by the future, but also entirely blind to its infinite possibilities. They have the peace, you have the stars. The question that remains, the one that echoes through every sleepless night and every anxious breath, is not how to escape this temporal trap, but how to live within it. Will you allow your capacity for foresight to remain an uncontrolled curse, driving you into a permanent state of psychological paralysis? Or will you recognize it for what it truly is, a sharp, dangerous instrument meant to carve out a destiny, rather than a weapon to be turned against your own soul? The clock is ticking. Choose your next second.